I'm super excited for this. All I can see is these four crew, well, three, because one's a profile picture, has been dancing in the background. They're bullish. They've got heavy bags. I'm excited to get these guys involved. We're talking all things meme coins, the Memecoin Playbook. Folks, we've got 1,800 people live on this thing, so if I don't see some bags being pumped, I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm looking at you, Gami. We have four of the best in the business. We have Tom Mitchellhill from Cointelegraph, a deep Solana trench. He's been talking about Solana for a little while. He's got his own newsletter. Make sure you check out his stuff. We've got Gami and Clouted, who have been around the space for a very, very long time. I've known them both for a very long time. They've started their own Memecoin project, which full transparency, I'm an investor in. I don't want to get in trouble after this. Full transparency, I'm an investor. And then we've also got Amanda from Helix, who has been in their space for a very long time and also runs a Web3 agency, Web2 agency, all the rest of it. I'm so excited, folks. Amanda, I'm going to hand over to you. Let's go, 100K BTC, but we're not talking about Bitcoin. Let's talk about memes. What are we looking at? Thank you, Amanda.
Yes, there's definitely going to be a meme that'll come out of the session. Thank you so much. I think that was a great intro. You did my job. I had that all prepped for us, but let's just dive deep in. Let's give our viewers a bit of kind of like a background on Memecoin. So tomorrow's actually the anniversary of Dogecoin, launched by a fellow Aussie, actually, software developer Billy. So can we start with Tom? Can you just give us sort of like the feel of the landscape over the last decade? How do you think that's sort of evolved?
Yeah, for sure. GM, everyone. So yeah, as you said, Dogecoin was launched literally 11 years ago or 10 years ago, 364 days in 2013. And it did nothing for like 7 years. And then in 2021, it popped off. Obviously, Elon started shilling it. And then right after that, you started getting these kind of like, I'm not going to call them copycat, but very, very similar tokens like SHIB, Floki, just this kind of speculative rush around assets that don't have any fundamentals. You can't value them based on cash flow. You can't apply any, principles to them from like a high finance perspective beyond just pure momentum of people buying and selling them. So that really kicked off in 2021. And then we went through a bear market. And then in 2022, we saw the launch of Bonk. And then just in 2023, I think it was in April, we saw Pepe get launched. And those were like the two next like big cycle like entrance into meme coins. And then I would say that the biggest landscape change for meme coins happened at the start of this year with the launch of Pump.fun on Solana in terms of like actually changing the ecosystem of how meme coins are launched and traded. So historically, coins like Doge, SHIB, Floki, Pepe, Bonk, they're all launched by certain teams. They have a certain supply. That can be either good or bad. In their case, it's been handled mostly pretty well. But with Pump.fun, you get one-click meme coins, which are anyone can launch a coin in 2 seconds with, I think it's like $50. So that just kind of like exploded meme coins, particularly like on Solana onto the scene. So I'd say that's like how the landscape has evolved. And now, you kind of have to deal with that. There's just an infinite sum of meme coins on Solana. So it can be difficult. But yeah, that's how I'd say the landscape's evolved.
Yeah, nice. Thanks. How did can you add on to like how your journey started with meme coins? And will it actually go to Clouted and Gami also, just to hear a bit of your personal sort of experience and story on, how you started your journey?
Sure, I can hit off that real quick. I'll keep it very quick. Literally just started looking into meme coins in November last year. I was a very late entrant. I mostly DCA'd sensibly into Bitcoin and ETH for 2 years between 2021, 2023. And then, just realized these things are very reflexive. And, if you can catch them early, there's lots and lots of gains to be had. But again, there's also equal and opposite downsides if you don't get it at the right time and you do not pick the right coins, which is probably more likely. But yeah, I just found them to be very, very interesting from a cultural perspective. But then obviously there's the financial side as well of like, wow, number go up technology kind of things.
Right. And Gami, what about you? You've obviously come from the NFT world. How have you sort of translated that, and what was your kind of beginner story on how you got onto meme coins?
Yeah, for me, I was involved a lot in Nouns DAO. People might be familiar with Nouns for the square glasses called Noggles. Um, this was like an exercise in gathering people around a memetic icon, something that's easy to spread. And being exposed to that for like a few years sort of really helped with the sort of meme coin super cycle beginning. And yeah, I saw a friend of mine, Mike Three. He'd been doing a rebrand for a token called MOG and MOG, and it had this similar sort of memetic icon that you could apply to any meme or any sort of imagery, and it helped spread the idea. And that was the Pit Vipers essentially. So yeah, just saw that there were similar behaviors in that realm, and yeah, wrote something called Mimesis Thesis, which is just sort of tracking how these ideas spread, and have been all in ever since.
Yeah, great. And Clouded, yourself, what was your experience like?
Yep, GM guys, thanks for having me on. So briefly, my experience with meme coins, I've been in crypto for a while, and I think the first meme coin I bought was Doge back in the day. Ironically, if I held my Doge bag, I would probably outperform everything I've done in the past 8 years. So, but that aside, yeah, bought Doge, sold it, kind of got more on the fundamental side of things, and then more recently, this cycle came back to memes in a very heavy way. I think I developed a thesis of my own, just like Gami did his, in deep in the bear market around how I kind of envision market reflexivity playing out, and a pendulum swing of liquidity moving from projects with like quote unquote fundamentals to more projects with less dependency risk, less team execution risk, less product risk, just from a trend that I was spotting out. And I decided to kind of go heavy into some memes that I deemed culturally relevant, and bet on them performing. And I've been kind of keeping to this thesis this entire bull run, and been quite heavy on the meme side of things. So that's my brief introduction.
Great, great. And Gami, how do you see sort of like the long-term value created in this? You mentioned that there's a lot of community and culture that shape these meme coins. What are the sort of like narratives, and how does that drive engagement and drive the value of these meme coins?
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion around meme coins being like another iteration on DAOs, like decentralized autonomous organizations. I think it's silly to go chucking in acronyms, but really tokens and Ethereum and other blockchains in general are just really good at coordinating people around a common goal. And so when the goal is as simple as like spread this idea or spread this image and spread this meme as in a unit of culture, you can contribute to the cause pretty easily. So I think like when you're just sort of like looking at how these things evolve, you see a lot of people saying that utility on memes is very bearish. But I think what we're starting to see and where things are evolving too is uh, the meme coins being used as assets in other systems. So without getting into detail, I think it's really just up to people that are sort of coordinating around an idea or a common vision or a philosophy or whatever it might be, and they get to a certain point where they get bored and they want to try new things. So for me, I just like to watch what's happening at the fringe, especially in some of these dominant communities like your Pepe, your Mog, Ticker Bitcoin, and it's especially relevant to some of the work that we're doing as well. So I just tend to just see what's happening on the fringe and try to see these people that start to get a bit of a following for their new ideas that spin out of the existing ones.
Yeah, great. And so, like, Clouded, how do you have sort of any points in terms of like how you would evaluate a project to be a bit sustainable? Like, meme coins have got so much shit in terms of the fact that, there's the risk of the rug pull. Like, what factors are there that you can kind of give to investors, or like the type of things that they should be looking out for?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think broadly speaking, I'd probably separate this space into two categories. I like to think of one side of it as meme coins, and the other side more as attention tokens. And I like to group all the pump fund type of shitters into the attention token group, because what I fundamentally think is happening here is that people are speculating on and trading attention. So when something pops up on Pump Fund, it generally trades with how much attention it can gather, whether that's on Twitter or in any other way, or even on Pump Fund's own platform, or even broadly speaking on the internet, such as like Peanut, for example. You know, it took attention from the whole election cycle, and generally speaking, with the attention side of the game, I think if you approach it with a mindset of you're trading attention, and what you're really betting on is that this current meme that is like an attention token is going to have future attention come to it. So you're really pricing in future attention. And if you know, on the converse side, if you believe that the attention of this might die off and dwindle away, maybe that's something that you want to kind of like trade out of and price in less future attention. So that's how I would look on the pump fund side of things. And then the other side is more what I would say are more either crypto native or culturally relevant meme coins. These are the generally the larger cap coins, which are fully fledged tokens of their own. You know, Dogecoin, Pepe, you know, even Mog, and like say WIF, for example. These like Pepe is a very culturally relevant internet icon. It was a meme before Bitcoin existed. It was actually created in 2004, and Pepe on the internet embodies like personalities and all these types of things that people use to convey and communicate. So it is a meme of its own. So when you buy Pepe, you're kind of betting on a more cultural community aspect. Same and maybe like Doge and WIF are more crypto native centric meme coins that, like, you know, they do derive from outside the crypto space, but they've just been like so entrenched in the crypto scene that there's a lot of native crypto culture behind them. So that's like broadly speaking. I don't want to talk for too long, but broadly speaking, that's how I would think about these things.
Great, great. And Tom, let's flip to you in terms of being the expert at Pump.fun. So do you 100% agree that it's the attention-seeking kind of meme coins? What kind of like lessons have you learned that you can share with our audience?
Yeah, as Clouted just said, the Pump.fun side is purely attention. You are looking at what people are going to tweet about. You're looking at what is gathering attention in mainstream media, and it's tokenizing that. So you can think of Pump.fun as essentially like the closest thing to a casino that you can go to. It's like buying a scratchy with a chart attached to it. So I think a very important thing to remember is that, you know, Pump.fun kind of markets itself as this thing of like, oh, you know, we stop insider launches, we, you know, the team can't, you know, hold supply that you don't know about. But that doesn't mean that people can't go on the platform and buy huge clips of these things very, very early and have like a huge amount of the supply. You can see that on the platform when you buy a token of like top wallets holding certain amounts. But you can still get rugged quite quickly. It's probably the most like aggressive PvP, meaning player versus player platform that you can go onto if you want to trade meme coins. So it's
Yeah.
not for the faint of heart. Personally, like I spend a bit of time trading on there for better or for worse, but it's like, to be completely honest, I probably run like a 90% loss rate on Pump.fun. And that's being terminally online, that's working in crypto, that's having friends that know the space very well. But typically the 10%, you know, outperforms those losses. And I say typically, but that's, you know, terms and conditions subject to change. And yeah, not for the faint of heart, but it's there are, you know, gains to be had there, but it's buyer beware kind of activity.
Yeah, and like any investment, it's sort of like, especially around meme coins, it's sort of you go into it with that mindset of, you know, what are you willing to risk? And everyone has sort of like a risk factor, you know, different appetites for risk also. So it's, you do have to kind of get to know yourself in terms of how you are as a trader when it comes to meme coins, especially. Is there any like tools and strategies you would recommend?
Something that I've always done, and like there are lots and lots of different ways to do this, is always recover principal really, really quickly if the token does run. And that way you're covered for, the actual amount that you put into the token. So if you can recover the amount that you put in and a little bit more, and then watch it and then trade it from there, that's always just a good way to make sure that you don't get completely wrecked on the way down. A lot of people buy early and they're like, great, it could never go to this level again. I've just made so much money. And then there's like, you get a Darth Maul candle and you're like, oh no, it's all gone, which happens in 30 seconds to a minute sometimes on fun. So it's like, and when prices move down really, really quickly, you can't get a transaction through. So you can often just be left holding a pretty decent bag of nothing at the end of it. So recovering principles on a run and then being sensible with taking profit and being like, okay, I think a very good metric, because it's all vibes based, is whenever it's amount of money that you're like, wow, that's a lot of money, sell some. That's my own personal take on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. And Clouted, as you were saying, in terms of the kind of other angle of the meme coins being a little bit more sustainable, what are sort of like how would you say the long-term kind of view on it if we were to look forward? Are there any utilities for these meme coins? Is there a space there where this can be sort of like a long-term play?
Potentially, I've tried to delve into the philosophy behind like a longer term vision on where this particular inflection of meme coins could go. I'm not sure. Maybe potentially because some memes like Pepe, like I said, they are much more culturally relevant to the internet than just within the bounds of crypto. And maybe in internet culture, in online culture, if people are using platforms like 4chan or even Twitter or or any other future social media, and people usually use Pepe to communicate their personality. They send Pepe emojis or stickers instead of like typing something, or they like posting Pepes when they're putting out tweets. Like it could turn into a currency within its cultural internet segment, right? And that's what, at its essence, the purest form of crypto really was. Like Bitcoin did kind of just become a currency within a culturally relevant section of the internet, which early on was cypherpunks. And potentially, if there's enough of a community that decides to embrace and utilize this token, it could lead on in the future. I mean, you see Elon kind of scratching the surface with Doge. He was accepting it for Tesla. Like he's trying to like say that he thinks that the memes are going to be the winners, and whatever's the most entertaining outcome will play out. So there's definitely those possibilities of a future that's like that. Um, and I wouldn't write that off because there's a lot of value, and I think some people fail to have this perspective on value, but there is a lot of value behind um, like just the intrinsic acceptance and representation of ideas and personalities online. And I think that these more culturally relevant tokens are the tokenized version and financialized version of that. So I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah.
Gami, can you also sort of, you're in your outfit of IMF. Is that, like without shilling your bags, can you sort of tell us sort of have you seen sort of projects that are sort of tapping into that long-term kind of strategy and meme coins that are starting to arise that you feel could kind of outperform or even repeat what Dogecoin has done for us? Like, is there any kind of projects that are interesting on the fringe of, what you can see in the ecosystem at the moment?
Yeah, like I guess more recently we've probably seen a lot of outflows from Solana that went over to Base. So a lot of people sort of chasing the pump, looking to speculate on different narratives that emerge out of different ecosystems. And recently, Base has been like pretty popular when it comes to like AI agent tokens as well as meme coins. And a recent example is an AI agent on Farcaster called Clanker, and clanker being like a derogatory term for a robot, basically. And in a cast, you can basically tell it what you want, and it'll create a token and reply to you with the token live. Trading, and we're seeing like a lot of different experiments where people are building on top of these new primitives, and I think that's like it's typical of crypto in general, not just memes. And I think it's just the fact that sort of the iterative cycle of technology, you go through these different sort of routes where things get really overly complex, and then someone has a breakthrough, and all of a sudden it's simple again, and then there's like more opportunity to build more complex things, and you just go through these cycles where it's over and over again. Um, like Clanker is a good example, and then when you think about like a project that has sort of done a lot of this stuff in the past, you can look to Solana with Bonk. Bonk is effectively a meme coin, but they have a lot of tooling, software, different sort of platforms and stuff that exist within that ecosystem. And yeah, with the IMF costume, without being a shill, that's sort of the route that we've taken. Is we see that like meme coins are a great vehicle to get attention, and then you can be building a DeFi protocol at the same time. And then in the future, when the DeFi protocol is ready, we can use our meme coin as collateral to demonstrate to people. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for these things to stick around for longer. And of course, you just have to tune out from a lot of the Twitter noise a lot of the time, because you get people sort of pushing narratives that support their bags. But the reality is, you just want to see what the market does, right? The final decision is always up to the market.
100%. And I feel like, there's been a lot of noise also with Ripple pumping at the moment. Do you see sort of like all these ecosystems adopting, having sort of meme coins launching in all these different rails?
Yeah, I think like if you look at different networks, they're all vying for attention as well. They need liquidity, they need users, they need volume. And you just can't deny the amount of excitement that's around meme coins. So just like any sort of crypto cycle, you get a dominant narrative, and usually attached to that dominant narrative is like a specific token standard, like NFTs, or perhaps a specific a narrative sort of that surrounds the assets. So it's really just a matter of like everyone competing for attention at the end of the day. I think that's actually why people understand meme coins quite easily, who are perhaps not technical either. They can sort of just see in something that there's an opportunity to impress themselves on it, and perhaps that inspires them to make a meme, and then all of a sudden they're a contributor to the project. So it's a little bit, in my opinion, like if you're in a good community, like it's in my opinion, like this is definitely not financial advice, but it's better odds than buying a lotto ticket, because you have some impact on where things go, especially if you're a creative person. And you know what? The last cycle, it was all about NFTs. Makes sense that the artists are here contributing to the coins now as well.
Yeah, and Tom, do you see sort of this performance in meme coins continue on to 2025? What do you sort of predict if we had like a glass window where you could see into the future?
So again, I have immense bag bias on this, so take this with a grain of salt. But right now, I think we're seeing kind of like a classic. Like we've seen the so-called like Dino coins come back in full force. I think it's the most hated rally for crypto natives, because a lot of people wrote off XRP, Tron, Cardano as just like ghost chains that no one uses, and then suddenly they're pulling 400% monthly candles, and you're like, okay, we may have miscalculated what's happening here. And so at this point, I think we're seeing like fresh wave of retail coming back in and being like, oh, okay, we're buying the large cap alts. That's made a lot of people fearful around memes. But I think that this is kind of classic cycle behavior of like you bid the large cap alts, and then you have that kind of settle down. And I think that pure speculation will really arrive in like peak mania time, early to mid next year. And I think that's when meme coins will start to run probably the hardest. That's my read on the scenario. Is
Yeah.
like Q1, Q2 next year is when memes move, because you have the wealth effect that comes out of like more sensible alts, because people don't want to just buy these kind of things that don't have fundamentals from the reasonable trader perspective. And then I think that when you get peak speculation in memes, that's when you're probably nearing the end of times. So yeah.
Right. And how do you sort of navigate? I'm going to go through, I know that we've got questions at the end, but I just think that they're sort of piling on, and I want to make sure that we've got enough time to have like deep discussions on each person's questions. So we've just got an anonymous one that has come in, and it does touch base on sort of like the rug pull and the shillers. So on sort of specifically X. But what's your view in terms of the scammy side of memes? So I'll just read this out. I'm butchering it. Sorry. What is the panel's view on the scammy side of memes? So many rug pullers and shillers on X make me wary of getting involved at all. Discuss. So as a person that probably hasn't yet dipped into meme coins, how do you feel? What are some good advice? Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll give it a crack. So, I mean, understood, like there is a lot of the scam side. And I think as with anything, I mean, even the more serious coins that we've been referring to as the coins with quote unquote fundamentals, right? Like, I mean, a lot of these are scams within themselves. Like a lot of these tokens do not need to raise these exorbitant amounts of money, give like such great terms to insiders, which are more institutional or VC or even like just well-known people, and pump and dump on retail in a larger scale. It's just it's actually a very similar dynamic on a smaller scale with those scams. It's just like Twitter influencers and whatnot doing it. So I think it comes back to a broader view of just understanding what game you're playing with the tokens you're buying. And as with anything, like instead of buying those really low float, high FDV VC scam coins that have so much sell pressure ready to use you as exit liquidity, you don't buy the scammy meme coins that are insider traded, are bundled, are ready to use you as exit liquidity on X. You can go up the risk curve and not down the risk curve, up the risk curve, and buy more established memes that have full supply out there, maybe have like zero team dependency, have great distribution, and buy higher caps that like you could probably get less returns, but also have less risk. So it's really down to your appetite. It does give the overall meme space a bad look with the scams, but I think that's a broader issue with crypto, not just within the memes themselves. So that's my take.
All right, Gami, do you have anything to add there?
Oh, just that I agree. Like, but the more like the optimistic view on the other side is that when these problems reveal themselves, it presents opportunities for developers to fix them. And so you sort of got to take the good with the bad and see the longer view. And I think that it's really just a matter of like getting yourself around a good group of people, getting familiar with the different tools you can do to protect yourself, and different strategies around that. So yeah, just sort of echoing a lot of what Clout had to say.
And what are some of these tools like? Is there something that you can kind of share with us, a bit of insight on it?
Yeah, like a common thing that people use is the same tools that say ZachXBT, the famous investigator and on-chain sleuth would use. This guy's like helped get arrests and seizures on, I think it's in the billions of dollars now, that was stolen from users. So he will use various investigation tools. A common one that some less experienced people will use is called Arkham Intelligence. it's basically just like a community platform for like tagging addresses and identifying things as problems. You know, it's like a intel sharing platform. Then you have a lot of other sort of like pure software options as well. On Solana, they have like bubblemaps.com, for example, which it uses these different methods of statistical analysis on addresses, basically to determine like what are clusters and who would, you know, probabilistically control a bunch of addresses. So yeah, you just got to really get educated. And obviously a platform like Collective Shift, that's, you know, they got a lot of talented people in the community, and then like people creating content that helps out with that as well.
Right, cool. Thanks for that. And our next question, what are your thoughts on celebrity memes? For example, today's hot tour. Gosh, I'm out of it.
Bet on that
Meme
thing.
coins launch that totally nuked. So someone's been heavily looking on charts today. Anyone had time to follow that narrative there?
I have a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably Tom would know more, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I've been looking into the Hock Tour meme coin. That did not come as a surprise today. Oh wow, it was a rug. Would you look at that? This is the problem with celebrity meme coins in general. I just think as a rule of thumb, don't touch them. Just like don't go near them. It's usually kind of launches where the celebrity and the team have a lot of insider wallets. They launch it and they essentially just use social media users and the attention as exit liquidity. As a general rule of thumb, I'm sure there's exceptions, but if you look at almost any of them that have been launched in the last year, celebrity meme coins are just tend to be a no-go. I'm not sure if Clouted or Gami have different opinions on that one. But yeah, as a general rule, like today, I'm not sure fully what happened. I've been doing a little bit of looking into it, but it appears that someone sniped the launch of the token on Meteora. They had, I think, a wallet with like 4,500 SOL loaded. They grabbed it straight out of the Meteora pool and they bought 20% of the supply. And then as soon as it ran up to a $500 million market cap, they just started pilfering sells in. And I think they made off with 1.3 million realized P&L. So there's just too many risks involved with celebrity coins. Like they're poorly launched, they can be sniped easily. Even if you're not being rugged by the actual team itself, there's probably someone much more sophisticated than you buying it early and using the attention to take your money. So yeah, don't go near
There's
it.
a good rule of thumb, I think, with comparing like a celebrity coin to say like a culture coin, for example, is just realize that it's not these coins aren't about a person, they're about people, like as in community. Like you want to look for things where a lot of people are able to, you know, impress themselves upon it, be part of it, not just like I'm a celebrity and I'm using my insane reach of millions to make money. I think that's definitely something to keep an eye out for.
For sure. All right. Let's just move on to the next one there. Can you share your process on how to find promising meme coins early? That's by Jason. Hi, Jason.
Secret sauce.
Yeah. Anyone wanting to speak more to review the secret sauce?
I'm happy to if no one else. It's just the simple basic stuff. I'm not trying to trade attention coins. I'm not trying to like get in early and sell. I'm more interested in the things that start to have a groundswell. Rather than explain, I would just say go onto YouTube, search for a video called Dancing Guy, or no, Leadership Lessons from Dancing Guy, and watch it. It's from a famed entrepreneur, Derek Sivers, and he shows the process through which a crazy nut is dancing on a hill at a concert or a music festival. And the most important person is the first follower, that first person who comes in and copies the dance moves, because they're the catalyst to start a movement. So just sort of try to look out for things where you see people starting to contribute in creative ways. It's not all about just humor. Some of these things are more than memes. They're lifestyles, they're philosophies, they're religions, and just sort of like apply common sense, to be honest. And I would recommend avoiding a lot of the sort of really sharp up and down, volatile out the gate type assets, and more look for the longer plays. But that's just me and my sort of risk appetite.
Okay, thanks for that. We got the little tap to wrap up, but there is one more question here. Do you guys use any technical analysis when buying meme coins, or are the price movements just too random?
Personally, I think that especially on the more attention token side, it's too random. You see some people like claim they do TA and maybe it works or maybe it doesn't. But I think if you're approaching memes with a TA perspective, you might be probably doing yourself more of a disservice than if you just try and like right curve or left curve the philosophy and the attention behind it. I think if you trade the attention, you're probably a better go, and it takes some time to build up that type of mindset. If we're going to wrap up, I just want to say one last thing that has occurred to me that might be relevant to here and might contribute to the collective shift community. I think mimetic value is not well understood enough in crypto. And again, like a lot of these tokens that people like to buy because of their quote unquote fundamentals, those valuations are actually more mimetic valuations than fundamental valuations. Because if you go and look at a bunch of these tokens that people are like, the product does this and it solves this problem and does this, and then you actually try and apply fundamental analysis to it, they are not supposed to be worth, 1 billion, 10 billion, $50 billion. A lot of that market cap, a lot of that valuation is mimetic value. And I think in the end of the day, most of these crypto tokens.
Clouded, your mics.
Is it breaking up?
Playing up a little bit there. We're losing you.
Clear again now.
Yep. Okay.
Yep, you're good now.
Yeah, so I think most crypto tokens are actually majority mimetic value than anything else. And mimetic value comes from hope. It comes from optimism. It comes from the idea. People are betting on the idea. Like XRP is not fundamentally worth $120 billion. It is trading like a meme coin because retail is betting on it with mimetic value, not fundamental value. So I think you can also approach memes and just everything in general in crypto from this type of perspective too. So yeah, that's one last thing I'll say.
Amazing, thank you.
Guys, thank you so much. That was absolutely epic. Thank you so much. Can I just get a quick Twitter handle shield from all four of you really quickly? How can people find your stuff? That was amazing.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, Clouted Mind. You can follow me if you like. Say hey. Thank you.
Yep, I'm on Twitter at the Crypto Journo, cringe handle, but I make it work.
Gami?
I'm at Gami WTF on Twitter.
I'm barely on Twitter, but you should follow Helix Co _
Amazing. Thank you so much, team.
We may hear.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. By the way, folks, we cracked 2,000 concurrent viewers while you were on your talk. That is absolutely nuts. I hope one of you can do a shoey later. I want a shoey from one of you. Guys, thank you so much. We're going to come up to the last panel in a second. It's going to be the high net wealth strategies. If you've got more than $250,000 in your portfolio, this is going to be an absolute cracker.